Hey everybody, I'm Tracy Anderson from the Tin Pan Darlings, and today I'm going to tell you about the trip that I took to Newport Jazz Festival in August 2023. If you don't know anything about Newport Jazz Festival, it's one of the oldest music festivals in North America, developed by the late George Wein, and it features top musicians from around the world. It's held at Fort Adams State Park, which is a military fort built in the 1800s. In 2024, the festival will turn 70 years old, so if you're thinking about going, it would be an amazing year to make the trip. I'm sure they will have some very cool surprises planned for the celebration. First things first, you're going to need to get your festival passes. They have early bird pricing, which drops in March from their website, so watch for this. Including the exchange rate, the 3-day pass was around 340 Canadian dollars, and that covers the whole festival, so personally, I thought it was a really great deal. After the end of March, the price for the festival goes up, so buy early if you can. You'll have to download the Dice app, which allows you to resell or transfer your ticket if something happens and your trip doesn't work out. Next thing you'll need to find is some kind of accommodation, and again, I recommend booking early. Newport is a summer tourist destination. It's part of fancy New England where people take their yachts to hang out. Since Newport Festival has so many regulars who return every year, finding a place to lay your head was kind of stressful if you don't know anybody. Price tags for the high season for hotels and Airbnbs looked kind of scary. We booked an Airbnb in early April for Middletown, and some of the less expensive prices were around $300 Canadian for a night, which is about what we paid. I want to take a moment to talk about location and travel to the festival. One thing we weren't sure about was how we were going to make it from the Airbnb to the festival location. We brought our bicycles thinking we would bike it, but we got a flat tire and we didn't have enough time to go around Newport trying to figure out how to fix it. Lots of people bicycle there, but after walking around with all the traffic, there really didn't seem to be much of a shoulder to bicycle on. People were driving their bicycles on the sidewalk where possible. It turns out we got kind of lucky though, because we were right on the bus line, the numbers 60 and 63, which takes you about 2 or 3 blocks within Parati Park water taxi. I would recommend traveling this way. It was great. Just be sure to have a lot of American bills on hand. The water taxi was $10 US per ride, and it goes every 30 minutes right to Fort Adams, which was very convenient. Bus is cheap, of course, so when you're looking for accommodation, if you can find something within walking distance or busing distance of Parati Park, that would be actually really amazing. Once you get the basics sorted out, then you can start to dig into the lineup for the festival. So there's a Newport Jazz app that you can scope what's happening on all 3 stages. It also has bios of all the artists. My only complaint with the app is that it doesn't always list the members of the band, which, let's face it, most jazz fans want to know who the side players are, and it can be hard to catch that on the mic. There were also great videos by the bass player, Christian McBride, who's the artistic director, in the weeks leading up to Newport Jazz. He did Instagram live videos with people who were playing at the festival, so if there were new up-and-comers, you could watch it, you could find out who these people are. And I took in a few of those and enjoyed them. Another great investigative tool is the Newport Spotify playlist, so again, you can get familiar with the artist lineup, new or returning people. Of course, you can always Google and do all that stuff too, individual websites, but it takes longer. If you're doing all 3 days of the festival, you're going to want to pace yourself. Make sure you bring a backpack with all the necessities: snacks, long sleeve shirt, sun hat, sneakers, comfortable sandals, reusable water bottle, sunscreen, and a blanket to sit on. You might need a rain jacket. When we were there, it was very hot and not a lot of shady areas. They have water refill stations, which are free, and it was a really great thing in all that hot weather. Lots of people take lawn chairs or shade tents, but again, the more you take, the more you have to carry around if you're moving from stage to stage. I noticed some people seem to take a fairly elaborate setup, but they parked it in one place for the day instead of moving it around. Get there early if you want a good spot closer to the main stage. What surprised me the most about Newport is that it has a real family vibe to it. It was common to see parents with their children carting around strollers, coolers, and lawn chairs set up. It didn't really have a big party vibe. The festival also happens during daylight hours. It starts around 11 a.m. and shuts down about 7 p.m. So you're not really stumbling home late night in the dark. There are, of course, tons of food trucks and vendors inside the festival, and we had no trouble using our debit cards to get stuff. It could get kind of expensive to buy a couple of meals at the vendors every day. So on the second day, we just went to a convenience store. We bought sandwiches, snacks, and we took them to the festival with us, which was really easy. You're allowed to bring in any food that's sealed. Alcohol is expensive at the festival, and it's running you about $13 US per tall can, and I'm not even kidding. By the time you factor in the exchange rate and leaving a little tip, it was almost $19 Canadian for about a 473 ml can. So, and you can only drink in fenced off areas, so you can't carry your alcohol beverages around. For this reason, it didn't really seem to be worth it to bother buying booze. I noticed people must have snuck in little minis because I saw some on the ground. So they do check your bag at the entrance of the festival, and there are metal detectors. They're fairly thorough with their searches in your backpack, and you have to dump out the contents of your water bottle as well before you go in. So just to keep you in the loop on that. Newport Jazz has a real feeling of community to it. Lots of regulars who return there every year, and musicians who all know each other. It felt really nice to be surrounded by strangers who are there to really listen and check out the festival and appreciate what musicians work so hard to give to their audience. There was a piano tuner tuning up the pianos between every performance, which you don't see very often. And you can tell that the audience has an expectation that the musicians will show off and take them higher. And they were so appreciative of high caliber musicianship, which I just loved. I could go on, but I'll leave it here. So please leave any comments or questions in the section below. And if you've been to the Newport Jazz Festival or the Newport Folk Festival, I'd love to hear about your experience, because preparing this really made me want to go back for 2024. I also put a link in the bottom for this video on the history of George Wein and how he prepared the Newport Jazz Festival. Like I said, it's one of the original music festivals. So it's just so interesting to see how he did it and persevere through all this. Okay, everybody, have a great day.